So, hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today's webinar is about skin lightening claims, and I'm going to be talking about compliance as well as consumer perception. So today's webinar is being recorded, and I'll be sending out the recording afterwards. And also there is going to be the chance for a Q&A towards the end. So feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box as we go through. And also feel free to use the chat, feel free to talk to each other. If you've got any experiences you want to share with other audience members, or if you just want to kind of comment on anything that you're finding interesting, let's make it really interactive. So yeah, please do feel free to join in on that. So today we're going to be talking about skin lightening claims for cosmetics in particular. There is obviously a lot that's happened over the last few years with skin lightening products, but also how they're advertised. So it's quite an interesting topic that I think we've got a lot to cover. So to give you a bit of an overview, today we're going to give you an overview of the skin lightening cosmetics industry. Why are we talking about it? Why is it still really popular? And what can we sort of look at within that? We'll be looking at the consumer insights from some market research we conducted, because as I said, this is about perception as well. We don't want to just talk about the regulations between skin lightening products. What do consumers think about it? Why do they use these products? And I think there's some really interesting findings I can share with you there. I will be also looking at regulations for advertising, and for that we'll be looking at claim substantiation methods and sharing some case studies. So if we are using skin lightening claims, we're making sure that we're making them legally as well. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the regulatory director here at Ayton Global Research. So I am specialist in sort of different cosmetic claims in particular, and advertising claims. That's where I've got my specialism, and I really design studies for our clients to make sure that they can legally use their claims in their target global markets, and with their target consumers. So particularly with things like skin lightening claims, we need to make sure we're saying the right things in the right countries, and that we're being appropriate as well. So just to give a really broad overview to begin with about what the skin lightening market looks like. So there is a huge demand in skin lightening cosmetics, and especially among Asian and African countries is where we see the most demand for these types of products. There's a kind of drive towards advertising for people to have fairer and flawless skin in these particular markets as well. And a light skin tone tends to be the sort of target for more beautiful skin as well. There is a bit of a kind of drive as well towards combination products being used. And the case study I'm going to show today is all about a skin lightening regime as well. There's a really nice chart that they had on Future Market Insights as well that I've taken to this for a demonstration here, showing the different types of product, the different types of cosmetic for skin lightening and where it's most popular. It actually is across all the different continents, even though there's some slight changes, it does show that the same products are most popular. So really serums and toners are where we're looking for skin lightening products, it's usually there, and the least popular is gels. But as you can see, that there's lots of different products that are really popular among skin lightening. Also from Vogue, interestingly enough, they did a bit of an article about skin lightening products and shared that the World Health Organization had done a bit of information about skin lightening products. They reported that half the population in Korea, Malaysia, and the Philippines use some kind of skin lightening treatment. There's even higher in India, where 60% of the population do, and some African countries, including Nigeria, where 77% of the population are using a skin lightening product. Huge, huge market for these kinds of products over there. So there's a lot of demand kind of in, again, Asia and Africa is really where we're seeing the most demand here. However, it is used in places like the USA and UK as well. So there's mainly to treat things like discoloration and hyperpigmentation, which we'll talk actually a little bit about in our consumer insights. The overall industry is estimated to be by 2027, which is only 4 years away now, which is crazy. I know, 5 years away. Got my maths wrong there. 5 years away. Now we're in 2022. So it's going to be over $24 billion is kind of their estimation there. So yeah, very big category within cosmetics. We can't ignore it. But there was a lot of backlash. Cash in mind back 2 years ago, there was a huge backlash actually, and it actually kind of got driven by the Black Lives Matter movement. which we saw happen in 2020. A lot was talked about with things like lightening products, not about necessarily how they're used all the time, but anything to do with the kind of the connotation that you must have lighter or whiter skin. So lots of different things like Unilever having their Fair and Lovely range was renamed because obviously the connotation there that have fairer skin means it's lovelier. And then also other companies like L'Oreal and Johnson & Johnson are generally having a lot of kind of having to re-strategize their marketing and looking at the claims they're making to make sure that essentially there's no underlying racist tones that are coming across with these skin lightening products. So just some interesting kind of thing there. So why am I talking about this backlash? Well, myself and Teresa Callahan from Callahan Consulting had a conversation about it. We're both claim specialists. And we said, well, why are we using these claims still? It seems really outdated to say about skin being whiter and lighter. And why is this the case? Why do we think that consumers are thinking this is more beautiful? And are consumers thinking this is more beautiful? More importantly, because we've got all of the information from the media telling us that's the case, but let's actually ask the consumers. Let's not take people's word for it and delve a little deeper into these types of claims and why people are using these types of product. So we decided to do a couple of consumer insight studies for some articles that we've written. So I've got a part 1 and part 2. I've combined the results for today's webinar, and I'll just go into a little bit of the research that we've done, so as not to go through everything, because there's a lot of data there. But yes, we did some research on skin whitening. So basically we wanted to gain consumer insights from a range of countries where skin lightening products are used. And we wanted to find out what their product usage habits are, why they use these products, and if they have any concerns about this product category as well. So yeah, we did a couple of bits of market research here. We ended up conducting across the 2 studies. We invited over 1,200 people to come and 1,200 people answered the questionnaire out of who we'd invited. We made sure that there are people that regularly use skin lightening cosmetics. It's important that we get their feedback and not others. And we went across a range of countries. So this was our breakdown of different countries. 22% were in India, 12 in Japan, 10 in South Africa, 12 in the United Arab Emirates, 24 in the United Kingdom, and 20 in the United States. So as you can see, we've got a bit of a spread across some Western countries, some Asian countries, and an African country as well. So what was the kind of reason people were saying they were using these products? So these pie charts represent when we ask people, why do you use skin lightening products? You can see it doesn't add up to 100 in the pie chart. It's because I've used the percentage from a multi-select answer, because there's not one reason why people use skin lightening products. There may be many reasons. So that's why I always use a pie chart and people say that's not 100. It's because it's, more people might have selected more than one option. But I've put together, we've changed the answer options slightly for research 1 and research 2. So I didn't want to combine the results. I've kept them slightly separate, but you can see it's the same across both. So 73% on both studies, so it's pretty obvious that's our kind of exact measurement there, said that the reason they use skin lightening products is to even out their skin tone. So mainly people that have darker skin types are more prone to pigmentation. So we want people want to even that out and just have an even skin tone. We changed the wording as you can see here. I had originally to look more beautiful, but then we broke down what that is. What is looking more beautiful? It's skin clarity. That's what people are looking for. And again, it was the same in both studies. That was our second most popular option. Then had people saying they want to look younger, to make dark skin lighter was on there, but actually not as huge a percentage as I think we thought there might be. So only around 30% of people said it's to make their dark skin lighter. To help with specific skin problems, and I'll go into that a little bit more detail next. And then we had on the first study, I feel pressure to have lighter skin. I decided this was too leading for the research actually, when we did the second research. So that one's come off, and actually again, a very low percentage of people actually voted for this one. So generally, again, the same was across the research, so that's always good to get that clarification to say in both studies we had the same options actually come up highest. So yeah, we know that people want to have skin clarity, even skin tone, and to look a bit younger as well. So what were the skin problems? As I mentioned, we asked them, what did you, why do you use it? People said to target specific skin problems. So we delve a bit deeper into this as well. And this is from research too, because again, I'd learned from my kind of not errors, but gaps in the research in the first one. So that was covered more in research too. So the reasons people were using it was mainly, again, uneven skin tone. That's a skin problem people are seeing across the board. And that's kind of the highest one across the board there. Age spots is hugely kind of got a big difference in Japan and specifically. And actually, when we look at Japan, people don't like to have freckles necessarily. Again, they want to have that even skin tone. So age spots is a huge thing in Japan, huge reason people to use it. Again, acne is kind of everywhere apart from Japan, seem to be quite a big reason for it. And you can see the other reasons we've got across the board are things like vitiligo, which is only a small percentage, but still there. Redness and scarring. And some people just had none of those options. And it might have been because they want to use it to just, they don't have a specific skin problem. They have other reasons for using skin lightening. We wanted to ask about safety concerns as well. So as well as getting the idea why they use the products and what problems they have, we do know that there is kind of an underlying concern about the safety of skin whitening products. So yeah, we wanted to ask people what their concerns were. So the main thing is that people having exposure to sun damage. We know that if we are stripping away melanin from the skin, that means it's going to be more exposed to the UV rays. We have melanin for a reason, it protects our skin. So by getting kind of stripping that back, there is a huge risk of exposure. And yeah, a majority of our panel are worried about that. We're also worried about that it's changing too light or too dark. We did some free text answers within this as well, which again, you can request some more information about the research. I don't want to go too much into it, but some people had issues where they'd used it and actually it done the opposite effect. Their skin had gone darker, or it had gone too light, it bleached their skin, which we don't want at all. There's also worries about skin thinning, and then less worries, but some for scarring, ongoing health problems that could happen, and visible blood vessels as well. So there are some safety concerns there, which again, if you're marketing skin lightening products, you need to think about formulating so we don't have these concerns. And if we do have these, we need to be very transparent about what they are to our consumers as well. We looked at purchase intent as well. So we said, take away the concerns. What do you really want to see from these types of products to give you more confidence and to make you buy them more as well? And actually, the overwhelming majority was natural ingredients. It's one of those ones that if you're part of the cosmetics industry, you'll know it makes you kind of go, oh, because just because a product's natural doesn't mean it's safer. And it also doesn't mean that if the product's unnatural, it's not safe as well. But that is what people want to see. And that's what this is about. It's taking that information. So maybe if you don't have natural products in your skin whitening, products, if you don't have natural ingredients, it's about changing your marketing strategy, changing your style of dialogue to make it very clear the products you have in there, whilst if they're not natural, it doesn't mean, what does that mean? Let your consumer know, educate your consumer. Why is this important for them to know? And if it does have natural ingredients, again, great, they want to see that. So boast about it in your in your marketing as well. They want to see publicized evidence of product testing. This is something obviously I'm passionate about as a product tester, but I think it's really important to know. I see so many products out there that say that they can do this or that and have all these claims, but the actual substance behind that seems to be missing. So make it really clear, what is the evidence about this product? What about these claims you're making? How many people say it made their skin lighter? How lighter does it look? Do you have before and after images? All this kind of thing. So it's really important to note as well. Doctor prescribed was a big thing, and that's understandable, because obviously if it's doctor prescribed, it gives you that confidence that it's not going to hurt you. I mean, we know that that's not necessarily always the case. There could still be side effects, but people do want to go down the more OTC kind of strategy with skin lightening products as well. And there's some other options we had here is guarantee of regulatory compliance. And I know that that's going to make people go, of course, it's regulatory compliant. We've got certain countries that are much stricter about kind of reviewing people's compliance than others. So I would make it very, very very clear, what kind of compliance is, again, for your consumer. Let them know, what does compliance mean? How do you know that this product's safe? Well, it's because it has this ingredient, not that ingredient. It's really important to make it really clear that the products are safe, even though we know they are. Cruelty free is a big one as well. people like large brands with a well-known reputation. It gives them that confidence. So if you're not that kind of brand, obviously I can't make you that way. But it's just an interesting bit of research, essentially, a bit of interesting insight there. People want to see fewer ingredients. And again, actually, this is across the board with cosmetics. We're seeing more and more brands like The Ordinary and the Inky List, which are being very transparent about having fewer ingredients. Less pressure from society to use these types of products. It's also there, but very small. So again, it depends what country you're in, essentially. I mean, I'm looking at the overall data here. I don't want to go into every country individually for the purpose of this webinar. But yeah, it's important that we need to, as a society change as well, make sure there isn't any pressure to have lighter skin. So obviously, like I said, I just gave you a few of the insights today because I don't want to go through every single question, but you can ask for access to some more information there. But in summary, the things that me and Teresa summarized from the market research is that the types of wording in a claim need to fit the consumer insight in that target market. So there's not one size fits all approach to skin lightening claims at all. Every single territory we looked at had slightly different reasons for using skin lightening and slightly different kind of cultural aspects behind it, sort of societal pressures, if you will. So make sure that you're not doing this kind of one size fits all for all skin lightening products. Look at the market you're selling your product, either review consumer insights that are already out there or conduct your own market research, and make sure the language you're using in your marketing is feeding back what your consumers want. That is such a key with any marketing, is getting that consumer feedback and then saying the same thing back. And I think in no other category is it more important than in skin lightening products as well. We found that saying things like that unevenness of skin tone is more important than skin bleaching. People aren't looking for lighter skin necessarily. They're looking for a more even skin tone. And the pressure to use skin lightening products to make people more white, essentially, it's not actually a key purchase driver. So when we when we talk about skin lightening products, people go, oh yeah, people feel real pressure to have lighter skin. We actually found that's not the reason consumers are using it. So again, these words like fair and lovely aren't actually giving your consumer what they want at all. They want to see things like even skin tone and skin clarity. So I think it's really important to stop using that language and stop having the assumption that consumers want to have lighter skin, and actually looking at things like uneven skin tone as more of an approach. The term skin lightening, again, can be replaced with things like color evenness, age concerns. People want to be more youthful, acne pigmentation and scarring. Use the actual problems people are using the products for and say that back in your claim. So instead of skin lightening, think about why people are actually using it. And there's an opportunity for the cosmetics industry to think about the actual well-being of their consumers, whatever their skin color is as well. So again, don't look at it as a skin lightening product. What is the product looking to do? And be really cautious of kind of, looking at the well-being, and stop kind of suggesting that people should have lighter skin as well. I think that's a huge part of why we're saying this. Things like skin whitening and skin lightening. Do you as a brand want to tell your consumer they need to have lighter, whiter skin? Or do you want to tell them that, hey, if you've got a bit of pigmentation, well, this product can really help even that out? And I think, again, society as a whole, I think we're changing our approach to things like this as well. So we have got 2 articles about this out, and actually that will give you a lot more insight. I've put the links there. I can also put them in the follow-up with the webinar recording, because again, there's so much more depth about what I've talked about, a real discussion of the results in those articles there. So yeah, I can share those with you as well. So I want to kind of go back to claims as a whole now. So we've talked about our consumer insights, and I've talked about how consumers want to have more even skin or younger looking skin. So how do we now substantiate that? So like I said, any product in the world, any claim you're making in the world, whether it's a cosmetic or not, you need to have substantiation behind your claims. You need some data to show that that claim is validated. For the purpose of today, I'm going to concentrate on consumer perception studies, because we're looking at consumers today. We're looking at what they want and saying the same thing back. So instead of doing a kind of lab study or anything like that, let's test our product with our consumers and see what their opinion is of the product to substantiate these claims. So that's the case study I've chosen today. But for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm saying lab test and clinical test and consumer test. What are those things? So a clinical test is more of an instrumental study. It's objective. So we would say, we could take a visual of the face, use a skin lightening product on any hyperpigmentation, and we can see by kind of, I don't know, I'm really bad at explaining really scientific things. But by using kind of imagery, we can show the gradient change in skin and show that obviously it has lightened the hyperpigmentation and evened it out. Whereas with a consumer study test, we are saying to people, use this product, does your skin look more even? Using it to the naked eye, which again is really, really important for these types of products, because you're not kind of telling people, oh, we've done this really scientific study and the camera is telling us that your skin would be more even. We're asking people, did you notice a difference? So that's why I've chosen this as our kind of like case study for today. Generally, we're sending products to people to test at home, so they're using it in the actual conditions they would if they were to purchase your product and again use it in their own home. So that's really what we're looking at here. You may need additional evidence. As I said, for this particular sort of claims and study I'm talking about, we don't need to look at that. We're looking at consumer perception, but always, if you're looking at certain claims, double check what the evidence is that's appropriate for the claim you're making. So the brand I'm going to talk about is a beauty brand today, multinational. So they've got lots of different markets across the world. And indeed, some of those markets are sort of Asia and Africa, where we're saying that skin lightening products are very, very popular. So we did a skin brightening regime. Again, we want to make sure we're using the right terminology here already. So we're talking about skin being brighter, more radiant, rather than necessarily fairer. Why did we do the study? Well, they needed to establish the product efficacy. So does the product actually work, as I said, in actual use, but also substantiate the claims, mainly for improving dark spots, uneven pigmentation and scarring. And the products are formulated to brighten the complexion and improve skin clarity. So we'll be looking at these things as well. The panel criteria that we selected for this study, we tested in Indonesia because it's a large market for this product. So we wanted to make sure, we don't have to test in every single country it's being sold in, but we found a country that we knew was going to be representative of the target market, which was Indonesia. The age range was people that were 30 to 50 years old, because again, that's their target consumer. They were regular users of whitening products. Now, this was important because, again, we wanted people that do use whitening products, even if that's not what we want to say in our marketing. So we know that our product is, well, our client's product is matching up to those kinds of expectations people have that use whitening products. They had to present at least one of the following skin problems, because again, this is what we're assessing, which is dark spots, uneven skin tone, hyperpigmentation, acne, scarring, and dull skin. These are all things that we wanted to assess for our claims. We wanted to make sure, obviously, you can't test a claim, you can't get a feedback on a claim if people don't have those problems. So it's really important we have that. So we send out these products to the volunteers. And we let them know how to use it. Again, I said, we're actual use here. So this was a full skincare regime and I said at the beginning, we wanted to have a full skincare regime because that's what's popular. So that all of those products used together are having the effect together. We're not saying that each product has it standalone. You have to buy the set of products to get this combined effect from the skin as well. So we had a facial cleanser, a day cream, a night cream, an eye cream, and a serum. And we had to use, I didn't put the usage directions into the slide because otherwise we'd be here all day, but they have to reflect what's going to be on pack, because again, we need to replicate the end user as much as possible during this study. It was all for use on the face. And we had some restrictions for use. I've put in some example there. We have to put in safety precautions so people don't harm themselves, and they have to be able to report an undesirable event as well. It's very important when you're making cosmetics that, as well as having a safety test, you do have a consumer study that also looks at undesirable event reporting, because your safety test is in a controlled environment, right? But if people are using it again in actual use, if you send out 100 products, you'll be able to get a really good understanding about any undesirable events that are happening. And I'm not talking about serious UEs, that's really unlikely, but even things people saying, yeah, it kind of itched my skin a little bit, or I did notice a bit of redness, I don't want to use it anymore. Yeah, that's the kind of thing we want to get feedback here, because it gives you that information before you go into the market. So once we send that out, the products have been used for those 8 weeks, and volunteers have gone online and answered some questionnaires at some separate time points. And I've taken a little snippet from our report from some of the overall results they managed to achieve at the end of the study. Sorry, that was a bit of water. So this was obviously we have all our statistics and everything like that, but this is at the end of the study. We get a little bit of a summary report to say who had a satisfied response, a non-satisfied response, and the percentage of people that were satisfied and non-satisfied as well. So we had 66 people in total on the come back with the results for this one. And here's some of the questions that we had on the left. And obviously our number of people satisfied, not satisfied, percentage satisfied, not satisfied. Sorry, I'm over explaining it. So we had 80% of people which said that their skin imperfections like old scars and post-acne scars were less visible, which is exactly what we kind of wanted to find out here. 86% said their skin is radiant and naturally glowing. So lovely kind of terminology here to get that brightening kind of claim in there. 88% of people said that it clarified pigmentation irregularities. Again, that's what we wanted to find out, so it's brilliant. And 88% of people now feel more confident with my skin than before using the products. Now, this is such an important claim. And again, this is where I stress consumer research is really good alongside if you have to do clinical research or you don't. It's always really good to get these kinds of claims because they're really relatable to the consumer, instead of just being told, yeah, skin is such and such a, how many shades lighter or more even or whatever. Just so people say, I feel more confident, people will see that and go, God, if that can make me feel more confident, I really want to use that product, because that's what I'm really lacking, is that confidence. So that's why we do this kind of research as well, to substantiate claims like that. So what does this look like when you put it into kind of advertising? So I've just chose a couple of similar products that are on the market for brightening and looked at the kind of claims that they have. So Temple Spa have got their glowing skin oxygen pill, which looks to brighten the skin. And they've got some sort of claims on the website about what they're supposed to do, but also some lovely claims on their social media and Instagram. So you can say 79% of people agree their skin looks unbelievably bright after 4 weeks of use. Again, this is the kind of wording you can only do in a consumer study. You can't measure unbelievably bright, but it looks really nice, and your advertising, it really shows it off. Also, Ren Clean Skincare. They've got their Glow and Protect Serum, which again is about brightening the skin. So on their social media, they've got clinically proven to brighten and even skin in 14 days. And then on their website, they've got some quotes from their consumer study. So people saying their skin looks brighter, it's got a natural glow, all these lovely terminologies for brightening skin as well. And also about evening the skin as well, which is lovely. So again, this is what it all kind of can look like when you put it into practice and really show off your results. So I'm going to go straight to questions because I can see some coming in, and I've kept that really brief today. I know I usually go into a lot more about advertising regulation, but I figured today we'll just keep it really simple with the case study and the consumer insights. But let's see what you guys are asking me anyway. So how many consumers should be targeted for an consumer in-use test, from Sarah? It actually is one of those questions I get asked every webinar, and unfortunately there is no clear-cut answer. It depends on the type of study, it depends on the type of product, it depends on the claim, and it depends on your target consumer. So that's really where we help advise. Obviously, for clinical studies, you're going to see a smaller group of consumers because it's an objective measurement. We haven't got opinion to base on. And in consumer tests, you're going to see more people. Generally, it's about 100 people is our recommendation. But again, it really depends on what the claim is and what's suitable and where you're advertising your product. So I have no clear-cut answer, unfortunately. But if you have a kind of study you want to discuss at any point, you can let me know all of this information and I'll be able to help you there as well. So in which countries was the survey carried out? What was the split of the panel? And in terms of ethnicity, was this, I don't know if this is for the market research study or for the product test, but for the market research study, if I can come across, I can show you the first slide. So this was the split of countries. We did the market research study. I have got a breakdown of ethnicity and it's actually reported in the article. So once you look at that link, you'll be able to see that in a bit more detail. But for the consumer test, obviously that was just Indonesia, and they were Indonesian because that's what we wanted to report on there. So I hope that helps. Isn't scarring a medical claim? Well, this is the thing. You have to be very, very cautious when it comes to cosmetics and medical claims. It's something really important to bring up, actually. So a cosmetic claim is about improving the appearance of skin, anything that can be kind of on the surface, whereas a medical claim is about kind of improving any kind of illness or anything like that. So yeah, for a cosmetic claim, you can say that it improves the appearance of skin imperfections, and that can include things like scarring as well. Acne acne is certainly a medical claim. So if we're talking about acne scarring in particular, we really want to look at how we're wording those kinds of claims. But yeah, you need to be cautious essentially and really look at how those claims are being worded. And generally we go down the route of improving imperfections and things like that actually as the wording there. The point is if you're doing consumer research, you are allowed to ask these questions about scarring and have them as your information. So even if you can't use claims like improving acne, for example, because it's a cosmetic product, that's a medical claim, I always say to people, ask it in your consumer research, because some people, I've worked with brands before that have then chose to go down the route of MHRA approval because they've got such good feedback from their consumer studies as well. So always important to ask, but yes, always be cautious, everyone, about making cosmetic and medical claims. And again, that's something we can help with if you're not sure. Which skin lightening active was used in the test products? I actually can't share that information because it's obviously our client's ingredient list for this study. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, unfortunately. But it was for skin lightening as well. How do you define what is a fair level of satisfaction to approve a claim? So generally, we look at, again, it does depend on the platform and everything like that. Generally, we, for our clients' knowledge, report a 66% approval for our pass rate for any claim because it's a statistical majority. However, be cautious of where you're advertising. Some places, for example, QVC and television in general, so if you're going for a Clearcast, they are looking for a 70% approval for a claim. So again, it actually depends on the platform, but 66% is a majority statistically. So we really base on that as a kind of benchmark. Is it legally okay to include questionnaire results on packaging artwork? 90% of people love using this product. Hydration increased by 30%, that kind of thing. Yes, absolutely. You can use it anywhere you like. Consumer studies as well, you can use it on your packaging. I encourage to use it on your packaging. I encourage people to use any data they have in any of their marketing, as long as the substantiation is appropriate for the claim and appropriate for the markets and appropriate for the regulatory compliance and the target market. Yes, you can use it. We make sure that all of our reports are compliant and that we substantiate claims, again, that we know are supported by consumer research. So yes, you can use it on any platform, including your own packaging. So just the next question, what about pigmentation? Is this allowed globally? I guess it's a claim about pigmentation. Again, we're looking at evening out the skin tone. Now, thinking about globally, be very cautious about what claims you're making where. The reason I'll bring that up in particular, obviously, anyone who's selling in China knows that we've got new regulations there, the SAR regulations. They have very strict compliance rules for making claims about skin lightening or skin evening or anything like that. And you have to have clinical research. So again, be very cautious about knowing what market you're going into and about what you're saying about your product. And actually, in fact, skin lightening is one of those particular categories that there's not necessarily a one size fits all when it comes to looking at that claim compliance and what that claim substantiation is. Again, we help with this. Don't panic. If you're looking at creating a new study and you want to make skin lightening claims and you don't know what you're going to need for each territory, we can certainly point you in the right direction. But yes, there's no one size fits all for a global, generally for skin lightening products. I got another question about minimum number of participants in a study. Again, there is no clear-cut answer, so I'll just kind of leave it there. But it depends on the claim. It depends on the panel requirements. When I say the panel requirements, what I mean is if you want to make a claim all skin types, we need to have a substantial number of each skin type on that study, for example. So yeah, it really does depend. But as a very general guidance, we look at about 100 responses for a consumer study. Just going to check to see if there's any last questions in the chat. So I've just one about sharing the links. Absolutely. I'm going to be sharing the links. There's one last question in as well. I'm going to answer this one last question and then we'll finish up for today. And I'll be sending all the links to the articles as well as this recording in the follow-up email. You'll all receive that. So the last question for claims like this. Oh no, claims like this. I don't know which claim you mean in particular. Pigmentation, maybe? I'll go for pigmentation. Is a consumer use test sufficient, or would a clinical test be necessary? Again, it depends on where you're advertising as well. So, and it depends what you're saying. I know this sounds really, really broad, but there are certain wordings you can use for consumer tests, certain wordings you can use on a clinical study. And if you want to say my hyperpigmentation appears more even, that's a consumer study. But if you want to say clinically proven to even out skin tone, that has to be a clinical study. Again, if you've got any particular claims you want to discuss on any products, please do reach out. And yes, the recording is going to be shared. And I am going to leave it there for questions, but thank you so much. You've really got my brain working on a Friday. And again, just feel free to reach out at any point. My contact information will be shared with the recording, because it's always easier. Like I said, this whole one size fits all is so important. It's always easier to look at a particular product and claims and the markets you want to sell in, and then I can give some really specific advice. So just to finish up, to round up, it is the IFSCC 2022 Congress in September. So please do feel free to register your interest for that. I have forgotten to send the link, and I'm going to put this in the follow-up email. Next Tuesday, we are doing an event with the SCS where we are solving your current challenges with future solutions. We're going to be looking at things like zero carbon. We're going to be looking at things like the SAR regulation I mentioned. So please I'll share the link to that as well. So please do sign up to that as well. It's going to be great. That's hybrid. So if you're in the Southwest, you can attend in Bristol. And if you are not in the Southwest, then you can please join us via Zoom. I've got a couple of, oh, sorry, I did put it there. I put it on the next slide. Solving your current challenges with future solutions is next week. Then after that, I've got a couple of other webinars this month. On the 18th, I've got consumer research for software and technology, things like testing apps. And on the 24th, we've got compliant and effective advertising in the USA in particular. There's my contact information. I can see there's some couple of questions coming in to say send the recording. I am literally going to do that now. As soon as I hang up and stop today's webinar, I'll be sending the recording out. Thank you so much for joining and for being so interactive and giving me loads of questions. It's been really enjoyable. It's a topic I'm really passionate about, actually. I find this whole category very interesting. So I'm glad that you've joined today, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Thank you so much.